Wizards just dropped their first iteration of the bracket system, and I'll try to go over it, but I don't have much time, so let's go. First off, things that they wanted people to keep in mind is that this is not a change to the rules of the Commander. If you don't want to play by these rules, you don't have to. This is for people that want to play with other people out there in the wild, and they get something to be able to talk to each other about power levels. Number two, this is not something that's designed to stop crappy people from doing crappy behavior. That's just a people problem, not really a game problem. But people that aren't crappy can find other people that are at the same power level or same vibe, and they can play games with each other. Three, this is their beta test. Of course, it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be kinks in it, and there's going to be some things that need to be revised later on. Okay, but there's 5 power levels, and each one has a gameplay kind of philosophy and then some deck building criteria. Bracket 1 is Exhibition. They're ultra casual, which means that they have like meme decks, jank decks, like chair tribals, screaming bald guy deck. Not exactly looking to win, but just have a good time. Deck building criteria for that: no mass land denial, which is things like mass land destruction or things like Blood Moon, things that stop people from producing the mana that they need. They also define mass as something that affects 4 or more lands. And also no extra turns whatsoever. No 2-card infinite combos, but I guess 3 cards or more is okay. No game changers, and I'll get to that in a minute. They can include tutors, but keep in mind they can't be game changers. Also, things that specifically search for lands are not considered tutors. Now let me talk about game changers real quick. There are a list of cards that they've put together that can tend to be problematic in a game of Commander, especially at the casual level. You can go ahead and pause and try to zoom in on this list and see what list of game changers that they've included on here. But remember that this is the first iteration. This is not final. Some things might come off. Some things might get added on later on. There are some more things I want to talk about with the game changers, but I'll get to that later on. Let's go through the brackets real quick. Bracket 2 is core. This is like modern day pre-constructed level kind of decks. They are working towards winning the game, but the games are a little bit longer, the plays are a little bit splashier, and it's still at the casual level. No mass land denial, no chaining extra turns, so you are allowed some extra turns in here, you just can't chain them together. No 2 cards infinite, again 3 cards or more is okay. Still no game changers are allowed, and then again they're allowed tutors. Upgraded is above a pre-con level deck. This is where you can start introducing a little bit more power to the deck. You might win a couple turns sooner. You are allowed some 2-card infinite combos, but more late game instead of early game. No mass land denial, no chaining extra turns. Late game 2-card infinite combos are allowed, so anything after turn 6. And this is the first bracket where you are allowed at least 3 game changers in the deck. Number 4, you're free to just go wild. You can include whatever you want into the deck. You can do mass land destruction if you want. You're still not geared towards like a competitive level. You're not trying to min-max everything, I guess. No restrictions other than the ban list. CEDH, pretty self-explanatory. You're trying to win as fast as possible. You're trying to build the best deck as possible. No restrictions but the ban list. Now, the interesting thing about the game changers is that it kind of shields the lower powered casual tables from these powerful effects. These effects that tend to be problematic at lower powered games. But still, higher powered tables can run these things if they want to. So if things tend to be problematic in the lower powered casual levels, they can move it onto the game changers list so that they don't have to deal with that anymore. And then if they're still problematic in the higher powered tables, they can move it onto the ban list. But the opposite is also possible. They can move things from the ban list onto the game changers list and reintroduce banned cards that might not be so problematic anymore. But what do you think? Is this a good idea? Are you going to implement this? Are you going to try this out? Are you going to not try this out? Let me know.